Want to speak real Afrikaans from your first lesson? Sign up for your free lifetime account at afrikaanspod101.com.
Today we're going to talk about 4 techniques to help you stop translating in your head and instead start thinking in your target language. This will allow you to have conversations with ease, read smoothly, and better understand native speakers. These are 4 methods to help you think in a new language. Number 1, surround yourself with your target language. This way, you'll be completely immersed in the language. Without realizing it, you'll learn pronunciation, sentence structures, grammar, and new vocabulary. Play music in the background while you're cooking, or have a radio station on while you study. Just use one of our endless podcasts available to you. These are easy to listen to in the background while doing other things. Number 2, learn through observation. This is how we all learned our native languages as kids. Words will develop their own meanings that relate better to your target language, rather than meanings that are translated directly. Number 3, speak out loud to yourself. Even if you're a little embarrassed, it forces you to listen to how you speak. It makes it much easier to spot simple grammar mistakes. Number 4, practice daily. If you practice everything for only one day, you won't retain the information you learned. The brain can realistically only focus for about 30 minutes. So studying a little every day allows you to absorb better. Follow these steps and have patience. You'll soon be able to achieve your language learning goals. Just make sure to remember these 4 methods. Sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. And start learning more every day. Want to finally start speaking in your target language? In this guide, you'll discover the top 7 ways to practice speaking on your own with our lessons. Let's begin. Number 1, shadowing. Shadowing is a proven learning technique where all you do is repeat what you hear in order to practice speaking. So access any audio or video lesson on the site and press the play button to start. Then, as you listen or watch, just repeat the conversations. Or, even easier, read along out loud with the dialogue section. The script is right there in front of you. With our lessons, you can master entire conversations, just like that. Number 2, read out loud. I just mentioned it, but reading out loud is another powerful tactic and deserves its own mention. With every lesson, you get written transcripts and translations. So as you play the lesson, read the dialogue out loud as you hear it. Why? By reading out loud, you're also practicing your speaking skills. You can do this with the lesson notes, the lesson transcript, or the dialogue tool. With the dialogue tool, you can listen to each line again and again, and repeat out loud until you master them all. Number 3, speed up your reading to speed up your speaking. Being able to speak without thinking is a sign of language mastery. If you're talking to a native and can respond quickly, they'll assume that you're fairly fluent. How can you do this? When you read out loud, try increasing your speed a little bit every time. So, start by reading with the dialogue tool. If you're like most learners, you'll read the first line slowly. That's because you're still getting used to the words, which is okay. Reread it. On your second try, you know most of the words, and you'll read a little faster. Reread it again. On your third try, you'll be even faster, at a native speaker's speed. And being able to read these phrases out loud and fast will help you speak fast. Number 4, record and compare yourself with native speakers. In order to sound like a native speaker, you must imitate native speakers. So here's how. Access the voice recorder, which is in the dialogue study tool in every lesson. Click on the microphone icon. Listen to the native speaker's audio, and then record yourself. You can then compare the 2 recordings side by side, and practice and try again and again until you perfect your pronunciation. Number 5, get feedback from our Premium Plus teacher. If you're learning by yourself and don't have access to real teachers, then you can always get feedback from our Premium Plus teachers. With the My Teacher tool, you can record yourself speaking and send the audio file to the teacher. They'll review it and tell you what to improve and how. That's it. Number 6, level up your speaking with Premium Plus assignments. With Premium Plus, you can also get assignments that cover reading, writing, listening, and even speaking from your teacher. These assignments can be tailored to your goals and needs. You get a new one every week, or anytime you're ready for a new one. Number 7, get even more lessons in the lesson library. If you want even more lessons on speaking and conversations, visit our lesson library and under Category, choose Conversation. You'll get all of the pathways and lessons that are focused on speaking. If you enjoyed these tips, hit the like button, share it with anyone who's trying to learn a language, and subscribe to our channel. We release new videos every week. And if you're ready to finally learn language the fast, fun, and easy way, and start speaking from your very first lesson, get our complete learning program. Sign up for your free lifetime account right now. Click the link in the description. I'll see you next time. Bye! You've decided to study a new language. So now what? Well, you want to become fluent fast, right? Here are the top 5 shortcuts to learning a language. Number 1, create a study schedule and set some goals. Many language learners are unorganized. Creating a schedule allows you to free up time to study consistently. Goals give you motivation and something to strive for. Number 2, make it fun. If you learn how to make your study time enjoyable, chances are you'll be more inclined to study. Watch a TV show with subtitles or listen to some music. Number 3, find a language partner. This is the best way to improve your conversation skills. It will help you gain fluency even faster and increase confidence when speaking. Number 4, use word lists to build up a solid vocabulary. This is a great way to build up your fluency, one word at a time. Luckily, we have all the word lists you need, with a range of topics, from food to love. Choose whichever language you want to study and go! Number 5, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Nothing helps you improve more than correcting your own errors. You're more likely to remember it correctly the next time around. Everyone makes mistakes. Don't be afraid to learn from them. There's no magical way to learn a new language overnight, but doing all of these can really help your learning process. And remember, if you're interested in getting on the fast track to fluency, sign up for your free lifetime account. No credit card required, and you'll get the best free online resources. Start learning now.
Hallo almal, ek is Anne-Marie. Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie. Welcome to AfrikaansPod101.com's Afrikaans in 3 minuten, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. In the last lesson, we wrapped up our lesson series about common Afrikaans verbs with the verb kom. We'll now jump into our lessons dedicated to question words in Afrikaans. In this lesson, you'll learn one of the most commonly used question words, and that is wat, meaning what. You'll see that in Afrikaans, it's actually very similar to English. So imagine you want to ask your friend, what are you doing? How will you do it? You will ask, wat doen jy? Wat doen jy? Let's break down this question. Wat is the question word what in Afrikaans. Next is doen, which is the verb to do. Finally, there is jy, which, as you know, means you. So altogether, it is wat doen jy? What are you doing? As you may have noticed, we learned a similar question a few lessons ago. Wat gaan jy doen? That means, what are you going to do? In fact, there are several ways to pose the same question, but the most important thing is that all of them start with wat. The rule is simple. In Afrikaans, wat will always be the first word in the sentence when asking a what question. If you want to ask someone's name, you could ask, wat is jou naam, which literally means, what is your name? Wat is jou naam? Here, wat is the first word, followed by is, which is the same as the English is, and finally comes your naam, which means your name. To ask, what is this, just say, wat is dit? Again, wat comes first, followed by is, which is. Then we just have dit, meaning this. Wat is dit? Also, we can use wat when we ask about people's preferences. For example, wat is jou gunsteling kos? This means, what is your favorite food? Wat is jou gunsteling kos? I bet you already know how to answer this. You can use the phrase that we've already learned, ek hou van, I like. Let's look at one more use for wat, a question you will likely hear quite often in Afrikaans. Wat wil jy hê? This means, what do you want? Wat wil jy hê? You will undoubtedly hear it when people are serving you food in restaurants, cafes, and so on. So remember it in case someone asks. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. On its own, wat is a heavily used expression in Afrikaans. Like the English equivalent, what? This is used when you're really surprised, but you can also use it when you didn't understand what somebody just said. Wat? Be careful though, wat is in formal language, so you can't use it by itself in formal situations. It's an incredibly practical expression to know when you're around Afrikaans speakers. In this lesson, you learned the Afrikaans word for what. It's a simple word, yet its usage is wide, and you might have a hard time remembering all the different questions you can ask. But don't worry, you just need practice. In the next lesson, we'll talk about the Afrikaans question word for where. Do you know it already? I can promise it's just as easy as wat. I'll be waiting for you in the next Afrikaans in 3 minute lesson. Lekker dag! Hallo almal, ek is Anne-Marie. Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie. Welcome to AfrikaansPod101.com's Afrikaans in 3 minute, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. In the last lesson, you learned how to ask what questions in Afrikaans. This time, we're going to ask questions using the question word waar, meaning where. Imagine your South African friend is asking you on the phone, waar is jy? Do you remember what this means? We learned it in lesson 12 when you were asking where your friend is. It means, where are you? Waar is jy? In Afrikaans, where is translated as waar. So for example, if you want to ask where do you live, you will say waar woon jy? Waar woon jy? Like English, the question word is placed in the first position here, then the verb, and then the subject. Like wat, meaning what, from our previous lesson, waar is just as easy, short, and practical. It shouldn't be complicated at all to ask questions with waar. Just remember that it's the first word in the sentence. Now let's look at some more questions that feature waar. Say you want to ask where you are going with your friends. Just say, waar gaan julle heen? Waar gaan julle heen? You might remember gaan from one of our previous lessons. You can also ask where someone is from by saying, waar kom jy vandaan? Waar kom jy vandaan? This means, where do you come from? How about if you are lost somewhere in South Africa and you want to know where the train is? To ask a stranger, simply stop them by saying, "Skus toch?" Then ask, waar is die treinstasie? This means, excuse me, where is the train station? Skus toch? Waar is die treinstasie? Of course, you can substitute die treinstasie with any other place, such as the pharmacy, die apteek. The sentence structure wouldn't change at all. Waar is die apteek? And it's as simple as that. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. When Afrikaans speakers have forgotten where they left something, they tend to ask themselves where they left it. Imagine your friend forgot where she left her keys. She would say, waar het ek my sleutels gelos? Where did I leave my keys? It's funny to hear them mumbling to themselves, but the sentence itself can also be turned into a practical question. If you switch the pronoun, you can ask others where they left something. Say you want to know where your friend left your book. Just ask, waar het jy my boek gelos? This means, where did you leave my book? In this lesson, you learned how to correctly use the Afrikaans word for where, waar. Now you can avoid getting lost. In the next lesson, you'll learn more about asking questions, this time using vanir in Afrikaans. Do you know when to use it? See you in the next Afrikaans in 3 minute lesson. Lekker dag! Hallo almal, ek is Anne-Marie. Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie. Welcome to AfrikaansPod101.com's Afrikaans in 3 minute, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. In the last lesson, you learned how to ask where questions in Afrikaans. This time we're going to ask questions with the question word vanir, meaning when. Let's go. Imagine you want to ask when your roommate is coming back home. You will ask, wanneer kom jy terug? Wanneer kom jy terug? Let's break down this question. First we have vanir, which is the question word meaning when in Afrikaans. Kom is the verb to come. Then jy, which is the word for you. And finally terug, which is back. So altogether it is wanneer kom jy terug? When will you come back? Again, as in English, the question word is placed in the first position, then the verb, and then the subject. So let's have a look at another example. How can you say, when did you arrive? It's exactly the same pattern. Wanneer het jy gekom? Wanneer het jy gekom? First we have wanneer, which is when. The second word is het, which is like the word did in English and makes the verb into the past tense. Then we have jy, meaning you, and finally gekom, which means arrive. Did you notice a difference between the sentences wanneer kom jy terug and wanneer het jy gekom? The first one is talking about a future action, when are you coming back home, whereas the second one is referring to the past, when did you arrive? In conclusion, you can use the question word wanneer to talk about any moment, whether past or future. Now, let's say you want to meet a friend. How would you ask, when shall we meet in Afrikaans? It's easy because you can translate it directly. It becomes wanneer sal ons ontmoet. Wanneer is, of course, the question word when, then sal, which means shall. Next we have we, which is ons in Afrikaans, and finally ontmoet, which means to meet. Altogether, wanneer sal ons ontmoet means when shall we meet. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. To ask how long an action has been taking place in Afrikaans, we say hoe lank. It sounds a lot like how long in English, and the sentence is similar in structure too. For example, hoe lank het jy gewag? That means how long have you been waiting? Okay, so in this lesson, you learned how to correctly use the Afrikaans question word for when, wanneer, and also a bit about hoe lank. In the next lesson, you'll learn about asking questions with who in Afrikaans. I'll be waiting for you in the next Afrikaans in 3 minute lesson. Lekker dag! Hello almal, ek is Anne-Marie. Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie. Welcome to AfrikaansPod101.com's Afrikaans in 3 minuten, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. In the last lesson, you learned how to ask when questions in Afrikaans. This time, we're going to ask questions using the question word wie, meaning who. Imagine you see someone you don't know at your friend's party and would like to ask who she is. In this situation, the question you can ask is wie is sy, meaning who is she? Wie is sy? Let's break down this question. First we have wie, which is the basic translation of who in Afrikaans. Then comes is, which means is. And finally comes sy, meaning she. Altogether, it's wie is sy. So in Afrikaans, who is mainly translated as wie to ask about someone's identity. For example, if you want to ask who are these people, you will say wie is die mense. You would say this when talking about a group of unknown people. Again, as in English, the question word who is placed in the first position here and is followed by the verb and then the subject. Wie only works for people, so you can't use it to ask for information about things or places. Wie can also be used to ask who did something. If you're in a museum, for instance, you can ask wie het die skildery geskilder? This means who painted this painting. Another phrase with wie that is used a lot is wiese. In this case, the meaning is different as it can be translated to whose. So if you want to ask whose pen is this, you will have to say wiese pen is dit. If we break down this question, it is wiese, which is whose, then we have pen, then we have is, which means is, and finally dit, which means this. Wie se pen is dit. You can also use the word wie if you want to know who an item is for. We use the same word wie, but place vir, which means for, in front of it. So it becomes vir wie. For example, you can ask, for whom is the cake? Vir wie is die koek? Breaking down this question, we have vir wie, meaning for whom, then comes is, meaning is, then we have the subject die koek, meaning the cake. Vir wie is die koek? Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. If someone that you didn't expect is knocking at your door, you'd probably ask who is there before opening the door. In Afrikaans, that is wie is daar. However, usually Afrikaners will just say hallo with a rising intonation to indicate that it's a question. In this lesson, you learned how to correctly use the question word for who, which is wie in Afrikaans, and its variations, wiese and vir wie. Now you can easily know who is who. The next lesson will be the last one in this absolute beginner series. We will deal with the last but not least common question word, hoekom. So I'll be waiting for you in the next Afrikaans in 3 minute lesson. Lekker dag! Hallo almal, ek is Anne-Marie. Hi everybody, I'm Anne-Marie. Welcome to AfrikaansPod101.com's Afrikaans in 3 minute, the fastest, easiest and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. In the last lesson, you learned how to ask who questions in Afrikaans. In this final lesson of the series, we are going to ask questions with hoekom, meaning why. Imagine your boss is giving you a call because you are not at work today. He will certainly ask you, hoekom is jy nie by die werk vandag nie? Why are you not at work today? Hoekom is jy nie by die werk vandag nie? Let's break down this question. First we have hoekom, which is Afrikaans for why. Next comes the verb is, which means are. Remember, unlike the English verb to be, which changes to is, am, or are depending on the subject, the Afrikaans is doesn't change. After is comes jy, which is the word for you, then comes nie, which is not, followed by die werk, meaning at work, and vandag, which is today. Finally, negative sentences in Afrikaans have the double nie, as you've learned before, so we put another nie at the end of the sentence. Altogether, it's hoekom is jy nie by die werk vandag nie? So in Afrikaans, hoekom is the exact translation of why, and it's used to ask the reason for something. It even sounds similar to the English how come, which has the same meaning as why, hoekom. Hoekom is jy laat vandag? Why are you late today? Or how come you're late today? Let's look at some other examples for hoekom. If someone says something you don't agree with, you can ask them, hoekom dink jy dit? Meaning, why do you think that? Hoekom dink jy dit? Or if you're concerned about the train being late, you can ask someone, hoekom is die trein laat? Meaning, why is the train late? Hoekom is die trein laat? You can even use it for answering, as in, ek weet nie hoekom nie, meaning, I don't know why. Ek weet nie hoekom nie. Now it's time for Anne-Marie's tips. A famous expression among those who speak Afrikaans in South Africa is hoekom nie, which means why not. You can use it to accept a proposition if you agree or if it was not planned in advance. For example, if a friend suddenly asks you, do you want to go to the cinema tonight? You can answer hoekom nie, why not? This lesson is the last of this absolute beginner video series, but it's hopefully not the last you'll learn about the Afrikaans language. To take your language ability to the next level, check out AfrikaansPod101.com, the fastest, easiest, and most fun way to learn Afrikaans. Tot ziens!
Hey everyone! Welcome to your monthly review. The monthly show on language learning, where you discover new learning strategies, motivational tips, new study tools, resources, and where we show off learners like you speaking the language. That is, if you're brave enough to participate and become language learning famous. All the materials mentioned in this video are available for you right now on our website. Click the link in the description to sign up for your free lifetime account and start speaking in minutes. Okay, today's topic is why your worst days are the best days to study. So, have you ever had a day where you planned on learning language and you just couldn't go through with it? Even if learning a new language is your personal goal? Something that you really want? Well, today you're going to learn 1. Why these bad days happen, and 2. Why you'll get your best work done on your worst days. Let's start. Why bad days happen with language learning. When I say bad days, I don't mean when you're too busy or when life gets in the way. These things are unavoidable. I mean days when you're just not in the mood. It's a perfectly good day. The sun is shining. No bad news. But you just can't get yourself to study. You're just wasting the day. So, here's why they happen. First, it's the law of diminishing returns in action. What does this mean? Think of it as eating pizza every day for 5 days a week. On the first day, the first 2 slices are great. But by the third one, you're feeling queasy. It's not as good. And by the 5th day, you're sick of pizza. That's the law of diminishing returns, when the benefits start decreasing over time. And it happens with language learning. When you first start, you learn a lot of phrases and it feels good. You're excited. But as time goes on, you don't feel like you're learning much. And this affects your mood and motivation. So you're not as excited to learn anymore. So you start having bad days. Second, bad days happen because you overthink things and ruin it for yourself. It's like dreading going to the gym. Let's say you went yesterday. You have to go again today. So you're dreading it all day long. I gotta go again. You set yourself up for a bad mood and a bad day. Third, bad days are a natural part of the cycle. Some days will be good. Most days you'll feel indifferent. Some days will be bad. But that's completely natural, and anyone with long-term projects and goals feels the same. And fourth, you can't be on 100% of the time. So just like days can't always be good, you too can't always be on and ready to go all the time. Again, just a realistic and expected part of the journey. Now, let's jump into the second part, why you'll get your best work done on your worst days. So, why will you get your best work done? First, it's not that bad once you start. Once you've spent 10 or 15 minutes learning a language, it's not so bad. People say the same thing about the gym. If you show up and put in a bit of time, it gets easier. Second, it's overcoming a mental barrier. What I mean is, when most of us have bad days, our brain automatically says, okay, can't be done today. Stop, we're done. But if you just work through it, you don't take these bad days so seriously anymore. And that means you're more likely to stick with your language learning goal. This brings us to the next point. Third, it's your best work because working on a bad day only strengthens your habit of language learning. Remember, habits are what will help you master a language over time. If you can stick to a habit on a bad day, your habit only gets stronger, and it will lead you to fluency. And finally, fourth, it just feels good to overcome something. Imagine you have a bad day, but you still put in 10 minutes of language learning. It's a real sense of achievement. And it doesn't matter if you do a 10-minute lesson or a 5-minute lesson. The fact that you made some progress on a bad day will give you the motivation you need to keep going. Now, speaking of lessons, here are this month's new lessons and resources. First, the Best of 2018 Language Learning Cheat Sheets. If you want to get access to all of our conversation cheat sheets that we sent out this year, here's your chance. Download this PDF bundle right now. Next, the brand new Supermarket Cheat Sheet. With this cheat sheet, you'll learn must-know shopping phrases and vocab for meats, vegetables, and all products that you'll find in a supermarket. And finally, the most common adjectives. If you're a beginner and don't yet know these adjectives, then this is a perfect chance to boost your vocabulary. This 1-minute lesson will get them stuck in your head, guaranteed. To get these free lessons and resources, just click the link in the description below. All right, everyone. Now we're asking you to submit a video or audio file of yourself speaking the language. If you do, you'll win 3 free months of access to our learning program, which includes your very own teacher. Here's the challenge for you. Yes, everyone watching this. Record a 30-second to 1-minute video or audio clip. Introduce yourself in the language. Share your name, where you're from, and why you're studying this language. And you'll win a 3-month Premium Plus subscription. To submit, click on the link in the description. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Then, fill out the form. Attach the audio or video file, and press submit. We may feature you in next month's episode. So a lot of learners will see you and your progress, and will hopefully get inspired to improve and master the language. To submit a recording, click the link in the description and follow the instructions on the page. So thank you for watching this episode of Monthly Review. Next time, we'll talk about how to set achievable language learning goals and resolutions. In the meantime, submit your recording if you're brave. Like and share this video and leave a comment to tell us what language learning tactics you'd like us to talk about. See you next time. Bye! You probably already have language learning goals, but the real key to success is to make the right goals. In this video, I'll show you how, with 5 tips to stop wasting your time and start learning. Hi everyone, Alicia here. In this video, I'll teach you 5 tips to stop procrastinating and keep your motivation for learning a new language. Some of these are study methods, and some will be general ways that you can keep your study motivation up. While these tips are for studying a language, some of them are good for other things in your life too, such as new challenges or other types of goals. But before we start, don't forget to click the link in the description to get your bundle of PDF cheat sheets, including survival phrases, romantic lines, learning tips, absolutely free. Now, you probably already have some goals you're trying to achieve when it comes to your language learning progress. While achieving these goals is important, making sure you make the right goals is the real key to success. The very first tip is to set SMART goals. SMART is an acronym, meaning each letter in the word stands for another word. The earliest known reference to SMART goals was in an article written by George T. Doran for a 1981 issue of the Management Review academic journal. The acronym varies depending on its use, but each letter generally stands for some criterion that helps with effective goal setting. For our purposes, let's define SMART goals as follows. The S stands for specific. Your goals should target a specific area for improvement. Our natural tendency is to have a goal that's very general. If your goal isn't specific enough, you'll lack the focus and proper direction you need to achieve your goals. So S is for specific. M stands for measurable. Your goals should be quantifiable. They should be able to indicate progress in some way. You have to be able to track your progress, otherwise you won't know if you're getting any closer to your goal. As you see yourself getting closer and closer to your goal, your motivation will go up. So your goals need to be measurable. A stands for achievable. Your goals have to be achievable. Many people want to become fluent in their target language immediately. However, this goal is unrealistic. Your goals have to be achievable. If your goal is too challenging for your current level, it will only demotivate you when you aren't where you think you should be. Instead, think about what results can realistically be achieved given your level, your resources, and any constraints, such as time. So make sure that your goal is actually achievable. R stands for relevant. Your goals may be specific, they may be measurable, and they may be achievable, but are they actually relevant to what you want to achieve? Don't just do a lot of things. If you're focused on improving your speaking skills in your target language, make sure that you spend your time having conversations with others. Make sure you're doing the right things so that your efforts actually bring you closer to your goal instead of just giving you more work. T stands for timely. You need to set a deadline for your goals. If you don't specify when you plan to achieve the result you've set for yourself, it's very easy to put off the task. You can delay it until tomorrow, the next week, or the next month, and at this rate, you'll never get things done. So your goal must have an end date. So remember, tip number 1 is to set SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. So, for example, a goal you could make is registering for a challenging test, a test that's a little bit beyond your current level. I hate failing, so if I register for a challenging test, I'm motivated to study because I don't want to fail. This is a good example of a SMART goal because tests are specific. There are tons of different tests focused on speaking, grammar, and comprehension. Pick a test that can measure the specific area in which you'd like to grow. Measurable. Tests are measurable. Every test measures your performance to some degree. Whether it's a total count of right and wrong answers or a simple pass or fail, every test measures your performance. Tests are achievable. There's an important detail to remember here, though. Find a test that is achievable for you. If you're a beginner, then the most advanced test is probably not right for you. Find one that's meant for beginners. Then, after that one, work your way up to more advanced tests in the future. Tests are relevant. Most, if not all, language tests are designed to ensure that you're capable of performing to a set standard in your target language. Lower-level tests are designed to ensure that you can handle the most essential aspects of your target language. But there are tests for all levels, including higher education entry exams that could be difficult, even for native speakers. Pick the one that's right for you. And finally, tests are timely. If your test is completed in a physical location, then this one is obvious. You have to be at that spot at the set time, ready to take the test. There's no wiggle room. But even online tests will most likely have a deadline for you to complete them. The second tip to help you stop procrastinating and to keep your motivation up is to create a diary or social media account that you can update every day. This may seem simple or even unrelated to language learning, but by creating a diary in your target language, you have the chance to actually create in the language itself. Creating a diary is also a great way to practice writing in your target language. Another method is to create a social media account, which gives you the chance to connect with other people who are working toward the same goals as you. Maybe they can even give you feedback on your writing. If you're following people online who regularly share good resources, those can be really helpful for you too. It lets you find new tools that can encourage and motivate you, especially if they relate to some of your other interests, such as music or books in other languages. This is a really good way to take a few minutes every day to work towards your goal, without it even seeming like work. The third tip is to focus on understanding a specific TV show or movie. Try to watch a movie in your target language without any subtitles, or try to understand your favorite TV show that's in your target language. If you don't already have a goal like this, it can be a fun way to practice. If your friends often talk about a particular TV show, it could be a good way to study and a fun way to keep your motivation up together. Plus, TV shows and movies often use the language in a way that's vastly different from the conversations provided in traditional textbooks, so you often get to hear different vocabulary choices. It's a very powerful way to learn a language and end up sounding more like a native speaker. Tip number 4 is to enroll in a regular language course. Register for something you have to go to or you have to participate in regularly, meaning every week or 2 times a week or maybe even every day. The point of this is it's something that gives you a pattern to follow. Forming a study habit will help you progress very quickly. It will make it easier for you to achieve your language learning goals. Once you form the habit, you won't even have to think about starting each time. It'll just be natural. Have something that you must take responsibility for. You'll be more motivated to continue if there are others, especially classmates or a teacher, watching you progress. Look for resources inside your community, and if there are no opportunities there, look for things digitally. You can find many of our videos on YouTube, on Facebook, and of course, our entire video and audio lesson library on our website. The lessons on our website also come with assignment courses, so you can test your knowledge. The last tip is to make your goal public. Share your goal. Tell people about your goal. For example, if you want to give a business presentation in your target language this year, then tell your colleagues or your boss about it. Some people may find what you're doing interesting, and they can support you. This kind of pressure can help push people forward who have trouble motivating themselves alone. By telling others about your goal, you'll feel more accountable. Because you told somebody that you were planning on doing something, there's an underlying sense of guilt if you don't accomplish the task. You may feel that you have failed your peers in some way, even if there's no direct pressure from them. Using this technique, you can push yourself into moving forward toward your goal, especially at times when you feel the least motivated. And that brings us to the end of our 5 tips to stop wasting time and start learning a language. We've talked a lot about how to set goals for yourself and think about new challenges. First, I told you about creating SMART goals. Remember, SMART goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and timely. Registering for a test is a great example of a SMART goal. Next, we talked about keeping a diary or social media account in your target language. Start doing it right now, even if you're still a beginner. Then, I suggested that you focus on understanding a specific TV show or movie. Pick something in your target language that you really love, because you may need to watch it over and over again until it all makes sense to you. And next, we talked about enrolling in a regular language course. This will give you something concrete that you must take responsibility for. Finally, make your goal public. Tell someone about your learning goals to keep you accountable for them. You're much less likely to abandon your studies if you have friends asking you about your progress. I hope that these are useful tips that you can use to reach your language learning goals. And before we go, let me remind you to download tons of free PDF lessons to learn the language the fast, fun, and easy way. Just click the link in the description. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and share it with anyone who may find it useful. Do you have any good tips that you've used to help you reach your goals? Share them in the comments. Thanks very much for watching, and see you next time. Want to speed up your language learning? Take your very first lesson with us. You'll start speaking in minutes and master real conversations. Sign up for your free lifetime account. Just click the link in the description.